Welcome to another episode of Purpose. I'm your host, Brittani Zonker. You may recognize my guest today from her own show called The Golden Secrets here at our same network. She has been a ballerina, a model, a Price is Right model. That rarely comes up. And she encountered some big health problems as well that have pushed her more into her purpose. So I don't want to give them all away. I will let Jessie Golden explain her purpose. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, finally, I get you here.
I know.
You're a busy woman.
I know.
And you just moved and you're getting reacclimated to the west side.
Yes.
So welcome to the beach. There's something like airy and amazing out there.
It's so funny. Everybody just thought I lived at the beach because I'm always tan, and now I'm finally there.
You're finally there.
Yeah.
So this is like therapy. We'll be like, let's go back to childhood. We're like,
okay.
We're not going deep in childhood. So you're from Chicago, right? Yes. And then at what age did you start becoming an incredible ballerina?
Aw. Well, my mom had a dance studio for 40 plus years, so I grew up in that world. I didn't know any different. I think probably when I was 7 or 8 was when I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be a ballerina. And I dedicated, every hour to it. And it was easy because, my mom was a single mother and she ran a dance studio. So I was always at the studio. Mm-hmm. So I was training all the time.
That's perfect for her. It's like built-in community and childcare.
A lot of it was actually, you're going to be a ballerina.
Was it?
Yeah, there was a lot of pressure, as the owner's daughter, but I loved it. I genuinely loved it. And now I look back and I appreciate that she did push me when I wanted to give up, because kids need that kind of structure.
I agree. You need structure. What do you think if she didn't have a dance studio you might have gravitated towards?
Ooh, that's an interesting question.
Is it environmentally? Do you think what environment you're in kind of shapes your decisions?
100%. Yeah. Naturally, I always say I was a weird kid. I was very weird. I was doing a lot of wee-wah, woo-wah stuff that is becoming more conventional now. Mm-hmm. But I think I would have done something probably in the arts, with poetry or painting or maybe even music. I don't know.
And that's really important to point out because I think kids a lot of times either kind of go towards what their family pushes them to or what their friends are versus from a younger age identifying with what truth you have or what you feel you're meant to do. So I will say, though, later in life, that has come out and come back around for you.
Yeah.
So your purpose in ballet taught you so much stuff.
Oh, my gosh. It laid the foundation. I know you can relate with soccer. It really laid the foundation for everything in my life as far as, like you said, the discipline, the dedication, the passion, the suffering.
It is. I see these ballerinas' feet.
Yeah.
And people just think it's so beautiful and elegant and they're all toned. And it is torture almost on your body, right?
Yeah.
That community, too, the struggle with image and, body dysmorphia. I have not seen a ballerina that's over maybe 100 pounds, right? So that influences you.
Yeah, I always say, first of all, I'm super grateful because my mom always had a really good body image.
Great.
But dance made me bulletproof to what I eventually walked into modeling. It was like a joke to be judged on the way I looked. It was like, I'm used to being judged on my ability. But the ballet, more than the physical stuff, which I still deal with and a lot of athletes deal with, the mental aspect of ballet is so interesting. And I just had this conversation with my boyfriend the other day. I saw someone on Instagram doing a workout video and they were going, ugh. They were showing how hard it is.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, that is so interesting. I don't do that because I was trained in ballet. You can have no expression. And that's why everything looks so graceful, but that also translated into my life. So I could be doing something really challenging, having a challenging day, but I don't really express it because I was trained to kind of hide that type of pain. So it was really interesting. Psychologically, I love to look at that stuff and how it's kind of shaped my life and some of the ailments that I have today.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the ballet, then transitioning into modeling, was it you were finished with your ballet career, and at what age?
Yeah, I was this height at 13.
Really?
So I knew, I was like, well, I'm really not gonna, I'm not gonna be able to really be professional. Although I did get to dance with Chicago School of Ballet and Fort Worth Ballet a little bit. I was just so tall. I mean, I'm very tall for a ballerina. So, and I knew once I got old enough to realize that you really don't, it's not really a great career, financially or otherwise. I just decided that it was going to be my passion, and I did it. I continued to do it because I loved it.
Right.
You know?
And I think that's important in life to point out too, that you can have your passions, but they don't necessarily pay the bills in the way that you need, but you can continue those for almost like your soul and your peace while you continue on to other things, right?
Dance saved my life. Like, still to this day, it's the way that I transmute energy and emotions and things, and I get through stuff just, by dancing.
That's beautiful. You don't want to see me dance.
Sometimes you gotta let it out, though.
Yeah, okay. In my house alone with no one looking.
You don't want to see me play soccer either.
Oh, so true. Yeah. Well, so then you transitioned to modeling, and I read that your aunt took you to your first casting.
Yeah,
Was she like, you need to be a model, or how did that work?
Yeah, I actually did childhood modeling in Chicago, but I hated it. It was just another thing that took me away from being able to have a childhood. So it wasn't foreign to me. But then I moved to Florida when I was 17, and my aunt heard of this modeling contest in like the late 90s. This was a big deal. There was like these modeling contests, which basically I felt like they just ripped people off. They just took your money.
Some do.
And,
Some of them do.
So I kind of had this really bad vibe about it, and she kind of forced me to go, and gratefully they comped my entire trip. It was like they sent you to Orlando the next week or something, and then I ended up signing with my agency in South Beach. And I tell people this, and they're always surprised, but I still hated it. I hated modeling until I actually got pregnant, and I started pregnancy modeling.
Interesting. At what age was that shifted?
When I was 25, so like 17 to 25, I modeled that entire time, and I just despised it. But at the same time, I didn't really have any other. I was like, what else can I do to make this much money?
You were trying to find yourself with something that supported you in that way. So, but it was probably shaping you to be able to accept certain things or find your next purpose, if you will.
It gave me a lot of freedom. So I was like, because eventually I put myself through yoga teacher training.
While you're pregnant, or this?
No,
is
it was
after?
actually after I got pregnant. But the reason I finally embraced it when I was pregnant is it was just when pregnancy modeling. Prior, they used to just use regular girls and put a belly suit on them. And it was just in that time where like showing the belly was like not
risque.
Yeah, it wasn't
now
like
it's okay.
as bad. Like they just started showing the belly a little bit. So they needed to actually use pregnant models. So I worked my entire pregnancy, and I was like, this is amazing. Like, everyone's so nice to me, and I get to take care of my son, and all of it, I fully embraced it, and
there's a shift too, because you're building life inside of you. So there's something with you that's aligning differently, probably.
100%.
Yeah,
it was very empty, just modeling prior. There was no purpose behind what I was doing, and when I was pregnant, it's like everything I was doing was for that child. I was like, and I felt so much more proud, to share.
I bet you were the cutest pregnant lady.
I was actually huge. It's funny. I gained 65 pounds.
Did you?
Yeah.
So you were up to a good 120 then?
I was 185.
No way.
Yeah.
And you're 5'10"?
5'10".
Are you 5'10"? Yeah.
I loved it.
I should work at the fair. I was like, I just guessed that you're 5'10". I should be that girl in the booth that's like, you're 5'2", you're 5'6". So after the modeling and the pregnancy and you embraced it, then you had your son.
Yes.
And what was the shift from there?
I always say that when I became a mother, I came into my own. And everything shifted for me. I mean, it's interesting because we keep going back to purpose, but everything in my life made sense. And it's actually what really sparked the self-love practice for me, because the only reason I actually started even doing that was because now I'm a mother. So now I actually have to take care of myself because someone is independently relying on me solely, because I was also a single mother. So there was a lot of, everything shifted. Yeah, everything shifted. Everything started to zoom in and make sense. Yeah.
You're like, so everybody, if you want to find your purpose, don't get pregnant.
I said that to my friend the
of
other day.
Jesse.
She's like, we were talking about pregnancy, and I was like, well, you know, I'm not a good person to talk to about pregnancy. And I was like, I was in debt when I got pregnant. And I'm like, babies come with their own bank accounts. And it's true. Like everything all of a sudden for me made sense and started to happen in a positive way.
Yeah, and a lot of times different shifts in your life lead to that. Like big changes lead to more purposes.
Yeah.
So did you stay in Florida?
No, so I was in California by then.
Okay.
Yeah, I moved out here. I didn't stay in Florida long. I moved out here when I was about 20 and lived in the model's apartment, eventually got my own place and yeah, cut to, you know, now I'm modeling and I have my son.
Yes. So post birth of your son, did you start modeling again? How was it for you, body image wise, getting back into it, and same with the acceptance in the modeling world?
Yeah. You know what? I fully embraced it. That's one thing that I'm really grateful. I've always been very active and mindful eater, so I never really had to, you know, that kind of stuff didn't, like I said, I think the dance world kind of made me bulletproof from judgment on a physical level. But honestly, Kaleo and I did our first job he was 6 weeks. I think for Fitness Magazine, we did a workout piece together where I was like bench pressing him.
Cute.
Yeah. And then I worked all postpartum. We did like nursing stuff, and we did a commercial together. We just, I was just bringing him along.
Yeah, but there's something for everyone. I feel like out there, say you want to be in the entertainment world or modeling world, there is a time frame for every time in your life that you can work. Yeah. You know, and the experience brings you different jobs. Yeah. So, you know, I don't want people to get discouraged, and I think you're the poster child for that.
Well, I think marketing too. I mean, gratefully, I think when I was younger that might have not been the case, but now, yeah, marketing's definitely every phase of your life. Age, you know, sex, gender, you know, anything.
Well, and you've grown a big platform for yourself as well. And I feel like it's so important health-wise too to discuss what transitioned you into more holistic. You were always into your body and taking care of it and being in tune with that. But you had, at what age, a diagnosis with rheumatoid arthritis?
Yeah, I was 29 years old when I got diagnosed. So my son was 3. And it's what the craziest part is I was considered the epitome of health to my friends and family.
Right.
I was vegetarian since age 11, ballerina, practicing yoga. I gave birth at home, breastfed Kaleo forever. Yeah. Everything I did was very holistic already. And then for my body to give up, it was like, whoa, what is going on here?
What were your symptoms? Were you the swollen joints or the aches? What?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it too, I think goes back to being an athlete, is I ignored a lot of these signals. I was kind of used to feeling pain all the time.
Yeah. You just power through it because you're tough and that's just what you do.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. And I think that's the biggest mistake people make, especially people that come from that world, is you're taught to push through it. And sometimes that actually most times that makes it worse. So if your body's already showing you signs, which for me was exhaustion, dropping weight, swollen joints, my knuckles were actually black and blue.
Wow. That's like your body's last cry for help, you know, like when it gets to that severe of a point.
Absolutely.
And so you went to all Western medicine doctors, right, initially?
Well, yeah. So initially, I actually went to my naturopath and my regular doctor and just had regular checkup and blood work. And going back to what I was talking about, the ballet thing, like I'm pretty good at covering up pain. So I can be having the worst day of my life and you'll never know. So what I noticed is I was going to these doctor's offices and they're like, Jesse, you look fine. You're fine. Like, what do you mean? Like, your blood test looks good. And they weren't specifically looking for the RA factor at that point. Not until I had an issue where I thought I tore my Achilles tendon, which was actually related to rheumatoid arthritis, and I had to go to the ER. And the ER doctor saw my hands and said, you know what? I'm going to send you to a rheumatologist. And her mother had rheumatoid arthritis, so she knew what to look at. And that's when I, got the disheartening news, which I didn't even know what it was. I didn't even know what rheumatoid arthritis was. I associated it to osteoarthritis, like most people. But then the second sentence the doctor said is, there is no cure. And you're like,
and
what?
What is your process of processing that information?
Yeah. This is huge for anybody that gets disheartening news, especially regarding to health. I think it's normal to grieve and have sadness and have this kind of, victim, why is this happening to me? And da-da-da. But you have to get off that horse fairly quick or it becomes very destructive. So I did allow myself to, cry and I talked to my family and stuff like that. But very quickly, I started to empower myself with diet and making lifestyle changes. What can I do right now to empower myself? And just starting that momentum going forward, instantly you start feeling better,
Because it's a mindset too. And part of the healing initially can be triggered in the mind.
Yeah.
I strongly feel. So that's so important for people to know. Like, allow yourself the time to grieve and process the information, but then you got to pick yourself up, empower yourself, educate yourself, and then start moving forward.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to stay stuck with anything.
Yeah.
Anything. It can be from, a marriage ending, from, tough things with other relationship or your job or career. It's like, okay, you know what? This is what it is. Let's process it. I love that you've done this and you're helping empower other people.
Yeah.
And so what were some of the holistic things that you felt benefited you in your healing?
Yeah, I mean, the basic things which I love to talk about are diet and lifestyle changes. And I get really deep into all of that in my book. But I think
which, let's pause for a second, everybody. This is the golden secrets to optimal health. So this helps explain, it's almost like a blueprint for people how to follow what worked for you.
Yes.
And gives them suggestions what may help their lives.
And you're exactly right. And it's not just for people with rheumatoid arthritis. I share my story, so it makes me human, and then it comes from a different place, a place from experience. But there's also reflection pages in there, so I specifically ask you certain questions so that you can figure out what works for you. So this is what I think, and this is what worked for me. But then I ask you a question like, where's your ancestry? Like, because I believe in eating based on your ancestry.
Interesting. I have never heard that.
Oh yeah. That's that's a really cool thing. I mean, I believe in a lot of different things like blood type, where you're living, eating seasonal. I mean, here we're so lucky because we have most variety of fruits and vegetables than I think anywhere. But also looking into your ancestry. So for example, if you're Eastern European, then berries and apples would be more assimilated into your body easily. Bananas, pineapples, tropical fruits can be too excessive and too acidic. But if you're in Hawaii and you're on holiday and you're in the sun and the salt water, you actually need those sugary vegetable or fruits. So it's very interesting.
I'm moving to Hawaii. You've given me all the golden secrets. But on a serious note, that is something very interesting that I've never educated myself on as far as ancestry.
Yeah, it's interesting because I really took because I was a guinea pig for myself, and I think like what we were just talking about, like these things that happen to us end up being our greatest teachers. And having rheumatoid arthritis has been my greatest teacher, and it's forced me to look into all these different ways of healing myself through Ayurvedic medicine and homeopathic medicine and everything, shiatsu, and I mean, you name it, I've tried it. And I think it's really fascinating.
I do too, and I do think there's a direct link to your mind making up the choice that you've grieved, you want to heal. Now let me empower myself in getting there.
Yes.
And from that also, I suddenly have a list. Also from there, the Golden Secret skincare came of this, correct? Like you wanted to, I mean, let's be honest. If we could all look like you, I would eat, drink, whatever, put whatever serum I could all damn day on myself. So what are these secrets?
Yeah. So everything kind of coincides together. I actually have been using essential oils since I was like 13. My cousin, who I owe a lot to, she planted seeds for yoga and natural childbirth and all these amazing things. She was always using essential oils. So right away when I was young, I noticed that I kind of had a deterrent towards chemicals and toxins. So I've always been using essential oils and making my own products. And before the book, I had a blog called The Golden Secrets, where I would just share spirituality and yoga and beauty secrets that I learned from being in modeling forever. And
I'm like, we're going to talk after the show. I need all of these things because I'm getting older.
In the okay. But a friend of mine said, you should bottle that essential oil that you always wear because it smells so good. And he had said this. Numerous people had said this to me for years, and I kind of ignored it and was like, this is literally my secret. Like, I'm not sharing it. I was very selfish about it.
Yeah.
And then I realized I was spending a lot of time writing, and I wasn't making any profit, but I had this traffic going to this website. So my friend said, you need to bottle that. And
what do you do? Do you go to like a lab?
No, I hand make everything at my house still.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is crazy. Like from Jessie Golden herself.
Yeah.
Like, I love that.
Yeah. I say it's like a home cooked meal because I really go through a process. When I'm making things, and of course I believe in positive affirmation. That's part of my product line as well. Is every product comes with a positive affirmation card to help rewire your brain for the positive. Yeah. So while you're applying the product becomes the tool for you to actually practice these daily rituals of self-love. And just doing that alone, for 30 days, I tell people, changes your life.
Yeah. The shift of not only the oils, but you make it with love and then teaching other people.
I put so much love in there.
Oh,
I'm like, and it's so fun when I get reviews. People are like, I actually feel that. And I'm like, I love that.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And so from here, what's the next step with you, with what you're wanting to work on, what you want for your future?
Well, I fell into this whole being a businesswoman thing. And it's not my comfort zone. I'm very, like I said, I'm very artsy and creative. So that is pushing me out of my comfort zone every day, having to run a company. So I would actually like to get that a little out of my hands so I could go back to the creative side more.
And that just means putting together a team that you can also trust and you can oversee it, but then your day-to-day fulfilling more stuff that works for you.
Yeah, and sharing my story and having opportunities like this that, hopefully somebody can hear and
of course.
It shifts them. Yeah.
Well, and unfortunately, the problems that you've gone through health-wise end up eventually helping other people. And I think a lot of what we go through is to be vulnerable and to give back and tell our story so that then it can push someone else into a better place.
Absolutely. I think everybody has a story to share. And I think whatever you experience, it's not in vain if you share it. And you're allowed, you're able to help somebody. And
of course.
That's why I always say rheumatoid arthritis is my superpower. It really forced me into so many directions that I don't think I would have taken otherwise.
Of course. Yeah. But it did bring you back to what you felt rooted in when you were a kid before ballet. Right?
I love that.
You said earlier it's more, your woo-woo stuff, but it's truly like
You're right. Yeah.
It's back to what you were really born with. So just aligning there. And sometimes we don't always choose how we get aligned. Sometimes, stuff comes at us and then it shifts. Yes. Oh gosh, I just want to stay here and keep talking to Jessie. How much longer can we keep going? Well, Jessie, it has been a pleasure having you on the
Thank you
show.
so much.
Of course. And in the future, I see you speaking to the masses, whether it's through
Aw.
social media or other platforms, that you actually go talk on some of this stuff.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
If people want to follow you, of course, you have the book, The Golden Secrets.
Yes.
And then your Instagram too.
Yeah,
that
Jessie
people-
Golden
yeah.
or The Golden Secrets.
Yeah. And if they want to purchase some of it too, your website.
TheGoldenSecrets.com.
Have you guys figured it out yet that her name's Jessie Golden and her brand is
It's
The Golden
my
Secrets?
real name too. Like somebody
Yes.
asked the other day, I'm like, I was never asked that until I moved to California. That's my real name.
But it's great. And I feel like, so Jessie told you, get pregnant, it'll change your life for the better. So whoever from this takes that
hilarious.
advice, it will shift your life for the better. It's
That's
funny.
funny.
Everybody has their own path. But Jessie, thanks for coming
Thank
on.
you so much.
Of course, I love this. I will work on this book. And now that you're out on the West Side, as am I feel like, and two business women, we have some more work to do together.
Yes, I love it.
Thank you guys for tuning in for this episode of Purpose. I have had a pleasure of interviewing Jessie Golden, and I'm your host, Brittani Zonker. I will see you next time.